What was Vietnamization? Have you ever wondered how the United States tried to change its approach during the Vietnam War? One key strategy was called Vietnamization. This policy was introduced by President Richard Nixon in 1969. Its main goal was to reduce American military involvement in Vietnam. The idea was to gradually withdraw U.S. combat troops while strengthening the South Vietnamese military, known as the Army of the Republic of Vietnam. Nixon wanted to shift the responsibility of fighting against the communist forces of North Vietnam and the Viet Cong to the South Vietnamese themselves. This meant that the United States would still provide air support and military aid but would step back from direct ground combat. The term Vietnamize reflects this shift in focus. The policy came about due to growing opposition in the United States to the long and costly war. Events like the Tet Offensive in 1960 revealed weaknesses in the U.S. and South Vietnamese efforts. Nixon aimed to address public mistrust or fatigue by promising a path to peace. He wanted South Vietnam to defend itself without a heavy U.S. military presence. Vietnamization included a phased withdrawal of U.S. troops. At the same time, there were intensive training programs for South Vietnamese forces to improve their effectiveness. However, despite these efforts, the policy did not achieve the desired outcome. The South Vietnamese military faced issues like low morale, poor leadership, and corruption. They struggled to withstand the final North Vietnamese offensives after the U.S. troops left. From a socialist viewpoint, Vietnamization can be seen as part of the broader context of Cold War imperialism. The United States aimed to maintain its influence in Southeast Asia by supporting a non-communist regime in South Vietnam. This policy attempted to sustain a client state, aligned with U.S. interests, rather than allowing the Vietnamese people to choose their political future. The failure of Vietnamization and the victory of North Vietnam in 1975 marked a significant moment in the global struggle between socialist and capitalist forces. It showed the strength of a revolutionary movement focused on national liberation and socialist ideals against foreign intervention. In practical terms, Vietnamization highlights the limits of relying on military training and aid to support regimes lacking popular support. It also illustrates the consequences of foreign powers imposing their strategic goals on a country's internal conflict. This often leads to prolonged suffering and instability instead of lasting peace.